ونستعين به ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تبارك وتعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى، وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. الحمد لله على نعمة الإسلام وكفى بها نعمة. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We thank Him for His generosity. We thank Him for the ni'mah of Islam. We thank Him for the ni'mah of being from the ones that come and establish the salah in the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the houses that Allah ta'ala established for the ones that He called hijab. Men, meaning that real men, real women, that subhanAllah, nothing keeps them away from the houses of Allah. Nothing keeps them away from coming to perform their salah in the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We thank Allah ta'ala for the ni'mah of tawheed. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us steadfast on it. This ni'mah that many were deprived of, as we said in the previous lecture. This ni'mah that a lot of times that, especially the ones that were born and raised in Islam, do take for granted. They do not see it as ni'mah anymore. الذين ولدوا في الإسلام نعم الله عز وجل عليهم أن يكونوا في عائلة مسلمة ينسون هذه النعمة ولا ينظرون إليها، نعمة التوحيد التي أعطيت لهم. Many, like I said, do not see this ni'mah the way it is, as a tremendous treasure that Allah Ta'ala bestowed upon them. And if you want to know how tremendous this treasure is, just ask someone who is a revert to Islam. He will tell you. He will tell you how his life was before and how his life is now. He will tell you how it felt when he first took his shahada. The pressure that he had on his shoulders, and he got rid of it. The serenity that he felt as being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in declaring his Islam. And this word Islam, a lot of people, they translate it improperly. They say it's peace. SubhanAllah, I always say that if Islam means peace, then every time we enter here we'll say Islamu alaykum, we will not say Assalamu alaykum. But Islam is a lot more than that. It's to surrender, to submit, and to adhere, to surrender yourself, to submit to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by doing that, you attain peace with yourself, with your surrounding, and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, most importantly, your creator, the one that created the heavens and the earth. If you remember in the previous lecture, I talked about tools that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given His believing servants as ways to get close to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll talk about one of those tools, and inshallah this will be, inshallah ta'ala, a series in which we'll talk about the importance of الدعاء. And there's so much to say that one setting will not be enough. So inshallah we will do this in a series بإذن الله تعالى. قال تعالى: وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداعي إذا دعان فليستجيبوا لي وليؤمنوا بي لعلهم يرشدون. Allah Ta'ala said in the Quran, in addressing the Prophet ﷺ, He said, "O Muhammad, if my servants do ask you about me, tell them I am close by, qareeb." And this in of itself, subhanAllah, it makes a believing servant feel so empowered because the creator of the heavens and the earth is so close to you. All you have to do is make supplication to him. All you have to do is make dua to him subhanahu wa ta'ala. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I will answer the supplication of anyone who does call upon me. All they have to do, فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. Let them answer my call. Allah Ta'ala, as we are calling him, he is calling us. We are calling upon him to do things for us, to make things easier for us, to lift hardship from us. He subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling us to believe in him, to believe in his oneness, to do his tawheed subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. Let them answer my call. And what is my call? وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي. Let them believe in me. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. So that they will be guided. They will be guided. So subhanAllah, in answering the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you and believing in him, you are on the straight path, you are on the path of guidance. قال صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم الدعاء هو العبادة. الدعاء هو العبادة. وقيل الدعاء مخ العبادة. وهذا ليس حديث قيل يعني قاله بعض السلف. الدعاء مخ العبادة. ولكن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الدعاء هو العبادة. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said الدعاء, supplication is عبادة, is worship. ثم تلا قوله سبحانه وتعالى وقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم. And your Lord said, call upon me and I will answer you. إن الذين يستكبرون عن عبادتي سيدخلون جهنم داخلين. SubhanAllah. And verily, the ones that are too arrogant to call upon me, they will certainly enter Jahannam, and they will be abased and humiliated in it. SubhanAllah. So basically, the ones that were deprived of calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making dua to him, subhanAllah, Allah ta'ala promised them, because this is arrogance, the ones that don't humble themselves in front of Allah and ask him, this is subhanAllah arrogance, and Allah ta'ala warned these people that they will be humiliated in Jahannam. Wal-'iyadhu billah. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made sure that we understood this concept. كان أعبد الناس لله سبحانه وتعالى وكان أكثرهم دعاء لله عز وجل. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he used to be the one that was the most tremendous worshippers of the worshippers from all the sons of Adam to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the one that made supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the most. Many ahadith, I'll mention a few inshallah ta'ala. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم فيما رواه أحمد والطبراني عن معاذ رضي الله عنه قال صلى الله عليه وسلم لا ينفع حذر من قدر ولكن الدعاء ينفع مما نزل ومما لم ينزل فعليكم بالدعاء عباد الله. Prophet ﷺ said that the being afraid and being careful about things that might happen to you will not change anything when it comes to the divine decree. The divine decree, when it's coming, it's coming. And you being afraid and being over-controlling, some people, they like to control everything, they like to be secure about everything. That will not change from the decree of Allah one bit. But subhanAllah, dua, supplication to Allah, on the other hand, that it will benefit you when it comes to things that we were afflicted with, I mean the decrees of Allah that already took place, and the things that are on the way. That means, subhanAllah, if there's a decree, a divine decree that's on its way to you and it's negative, the dua, if it's with the proper steps and it's accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He might modify and change. And of course that is also with the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Prophet sallallahu فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِالدُّعَاءِ عِبَادَ اللَّهِ. Servants of Allah, and based on what I just told you, make sure you make a lot of supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hadith Salman رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله تعالى حيي كريم. الله أكبر. الله عز وجل حليم كريم. يستحيي إذا رفع الرجل إليه يده أن يردهما صفرا خائبين أو خائبتين. سبحان الله. Allah Ta'ala, as the Prophet ﷺ reveals to us here, that He is shy. Allah is bashful, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has bashfulness and He's generous. And He is too bashful, subhanahu wa ta'ala, in a manner that befits His majesty, to have one of His servants lift his hands in supplication and Him, turning that person back with nothing, not having given him anything, subhanAllah. And this is a hadith of Ahmad, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, and many others. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ادعوا الله وأنتم موقنون بالإجابة واعلموا أن الله لا يستجيب من قلب غافل له. ادعوا الله وأنتم موقنون بالاستجابة. Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, as he was on the authority of Abu Hurairah, Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, call upon Allah, make supplication to Allah, while being certain, 100% sure that Allah Ta'ala will answer your supplication. SubhanAllah. Then he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, know for a fact that Allah Ta'ala will not answer the heart of a person that is heedless, oblivious to what he's saying. Someone who is too preoccupied. And this happens to us a lot. Maybe a lot of times in sujood, you're making sujood, but your tongue is so used to a set. You have a format already preset. Done. Then you have a format of a few supplications that you make. Your tongue is so used to them. While your brain and your heart, what are they? Oh, I forgot to pay the electricity. And subhanAllah, the cable is due. And tomorrow I have this appointment. And I forgot to do this. And I forgot to do that. SubhanAllah, this is the shaitan. He comes to the son of Adam in the salah. And as some of the scholars say, it's like he presses the play button and he starts repeating everything that took place in our day. SubhanAllah, and it keeps our heart away from being focused and having reverence to Allah and having khushu' with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the remedy of that, as the scholars say, is that we have to have our tongues be sweet with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during our day. During your daily life and your daily chores and daily activities, while you're doing the things that you're supposed to do, make sure that your tongue is busy with the dhikr of Allah. The more you do the dhikr of Allah, the more you will have reverence to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the salah. So subhanAllah, the Prophet is addressing this problem, the fact that we make dua to Allah, we make dhikr of Allah, but our heart is somewhere else. Allah Ta'ala wants you to be, when you worship Him, to be focused on Him alone, subhanAllah, 100%. Just like the most important part of being a Muslim, being a believer, is the Tawheed. Worshipping Allah alone without taking any partners with Him. So is it befitting for you to take partners with Him while you're making His supplication, while worshiping Him? SubhanAllah. Allah Azza wa Jalla da'ana لنعبده ولا نشرك به شيئا فهل يستقيم أن نشرك معه غيره في الصلاة أو في العبادة أو في الدعاء وهذا ما يقع فيه كثير منا. A lot of us fall in this problem. SubhanAllah. It's not that we are bad, that's what we want to do, it's not our intention, but this is something that the shaitan gradually gets us used to, and if we don't catch ourselves, we keep doing it as a habit, subhanAllah, because the salah becomes a habit, and the only way to have it be an act of worship but not a habit is for you to have your heart present 100% with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the way that the Sahaba, the Prophet and the Sahaba did it. This hadith is by Tirmidhi and Al-Hakim rahimahullah. Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu قال ما من رجل قال صلى الله عليه وسلم ما من رجل يدعو بدعاء استجيب أو استجاب له الله عز وجل. ولكن هذه الاستجابة تكون على أشكال، كما يقول العلماء تكون على أشكال. قال: فإما يعجل له في الدنيا، وإما أن يؤخر له في الآخرة، وإما أن يكفر عنه من ذنوب بقدر ما دعا، ما لم يدعو بإثم أو قطيعة رحم، أو يستعجل يقول: دعوت ربي فما استجاب لي. الله أكبر. Abu Hurairah said, the Prophet ﷺ said, there is not a person, he said, this is, the hadith says, رجل ورجل خرج مخرج الغالب, يعني رجل أو امرأة. He said, there is not a person that calls, makes supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except that He will answer his supplication. Either with three different possibilities. Either that whatever he asks for takes place and Allah ta'ala makes it happen. Or that this dua will be saved for him on the day of judgment, and he will be used on the day of judgment, in a time that, subhanAllah, we will need anything that could help us. يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا أَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. So Allah ta'ala will hold that dua and will, subhanAllah, make it or help a person with it on the day that needs it, the day of reckoning. Or he will use that dua to expiate a lot of his sins. There's also another hadith that, subhanAllah, says that the third option that the Prophet ﷺ gave is Allah Ta'ala will use a dua to prevent a calamity from befalling you, to stop a calamity. في رواية أخرى أخبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن هذه الشيء الثالث الذي ذكرنا، يعني بدل أن يذكر أن الحديث أن هذا يعني الدعاء يكفر الخطايا والذنوب، قال صلى الله عليه وسلم هو ينجي العبد من المصائب، يعني هناك مصيبة في طريقها إليك، وهذا الدعاء يصرفها عنك بإذن الله تعالى. So the Prophet ﷺ goes on to say, there's a condition, of course. He said, as long as this person does not make supplication about something, there is haram. There is haram. Something that Allah Ta'ala made forbidden, and you are asking Allah Ta'ala to make it happen. Just like that young man that came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked permission about fornication. He asked permission about zina. Something similar to that. You make supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for something that is haram to take place. Or to make supplication about the ties of your kinship to be split. Like for example, oh Allah, make it so that my uncle so-and-so, I don't like him, I don't want to see him again. Or that he will stop talking to his brother. This is subhanAllah not permissible. So these are the first condition. Or, number three, he said, as long as this person is not hasty, he's not in a hurry, and he says, we made supplication over and over, and this happens on big dua. Oh, you know, I made dua so much. دعونا ودعونا ولم يستجب لنا. Oh, we just called so much. I made dua yesterday, all night. I made, subhanAllah, qiyam fil layl, and I made dua. Nothing happened. They want something to happen right away. But Allah Ta'ala, with His wisdom, He makes things happen when He sees fit, when He sees that He will benefit the person the most. So as long as we are not hasty, these things that the Prophet ﷺ promised, he does not talk out of vain desire. These things that he said will happen, will take place inshallah ta'ala. وروى الترمذي والحاكم عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم من سره أن يستجيب الله له عند الشدائد والكرب فليكثر الدعاء في الرخاء. Allah. Prophet said that whoever would like that Allah Ta'ala answer this supplication in the time of hardship, let him make a lot of supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the time of ease. And this is, subhanAllah, it is very common with the sons of Adam in general. When things are peachy, as they say, everything is good, you have money, you have your house, you have things, you have your health, we tend to forget to make supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We tend to forget that. Subhanallah. This is the time that you have to multiply your supplication as much as you can, subhanAllah, on a daily basis. Because if you know Allah ta'ala in the time of ease, Allah ta'ala will know you and He will take care of you in the time of hardship. روى ابن النجار عن جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن جبريل موكل بحوائج بني آدم فإذا دعا العبد الكافر قال الله تعالى يا جبريل اقضي حاجته فإني لا أحب أن أسمع دعاءه. الله أكبر الله سبحان الله الحمد لله على نعمة الإسلام. Prophet ﷺ said that verily Jibreel is the one that is in charge of the affairs of the sons of Adam. He said, when a disbelieving person, a kafir, and incidentally, the brother was talking about the word kafir a few days ago, and it's important for us to know the difference. The kafir جاءت من كلمة كفر وهي غطى أن تغطي. لذلك الزارع يقال له أو المزارع يقال له كافر لأنه يغطي ما في الأرض يقلبها ويغطي ما فيها. الكافر linguistically it means to cover, and that, hence the English word to cover. In many other languages, French, couvrir, in Spanish, cubrir, they all come from the Arabic word kafar. They borrowed words from the Arabic language. It means to cover. That's why the farmer linguistically is called a kafir, not because he does not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but rather because he tills the soil and he puts the grain inside of it, he covers it. That's why he's called a kafir. But idiomatically, when it comes to the shar of Allah, the legislations of this deen, al-kafir, in reality, is الذي الكافر هو الذي يعرف هذا اصطلاحا والذي يعرف الحق فيعرض عنه ويغطيه عن الناس. هذا هو الكافر يعني اصطلاحا. The one kafir is the one that knows the truth clearly, but subhanAllah, he covers it. He turns his back on it and he covers it. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran said, وَيَقُلْنَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ أَبَى وَاسْتَكْبَرَ وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Now, the way that all of us perceive the word kafir as a disbeliever, someone who does not believe. Now, the question is Iblis a disbeliever? Does he not believe in Allah? Absolutely. He believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because he was there, Allah ta'ala allowed him to worship with the malaika. Absolutely. But what he did was out of arrogance. And Allah ta'ala called him a kafir because he made it his life work, what? To cover the truth. The truth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to make clear to the sons of Adam. The mission of Iblis is to cover it from the people. SubhanAllah. So, Al-Abd al-Kafir, the one who, this word kafir has taken another meaning with time, and we started calling everyone that does not believe in Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we call him a kafir. That's permissible, but at least we know and we understand where the word comes from and the true meaning of the word. So, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if a person that does not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or chooses not to follow the commands of Allah, rather, let's say, he makes supplication. Now, subhanAllah, the question arises, do the disbelievers in general make supplication to Allah? Yes, they do. Every time something happens, oh God. That's the first thing that you hear out of their mouth is God. Even the mushrikeen of Quraysh, they're called mushrikeen. They're polytheistic. They are pagan. Not because they don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala said clearly in the Quran, وَلَئِنْ سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهِ. If you ask them who created the heavens and the earth, they will most certainly say it is Allah. The problem is, and we'll talk about this inshallah ta'ala when we'll talk about the problem of shirk. The problem is that they believe in the lordship of Allah, rububiyyah, that He is the creator, the sustainer, all of that. But they have a problem with His deity, subhanahu, uluhiyyah. They have a problem with worshiping Him alone and not taking partners with Him, subhanallah. But they call on the next application to Allah. They've been known, the kuffar of Quraysh, for example, they've been known to make supplication to Allah. But when one of them was asked, he said, how many gods do you worship? He said, I worship God 7. He said, but when the going gets tough, who do you call upon? He says, the one, الَّذِي فِي السَّمَاءِ, the one that's in the heavens, subhanAllah. When the things get tough, they wake up and they call on the real one, the one who created the heavens and the earth. So, subhanAllah, when the one that doesn't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes supplication, Allah ta'ala makes their supplication take place. The disbelievers in general, they get their reward in this life. وَمَا لَهُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. They will go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, come to Allah on the day of judgment, and they will have nothing. They have nothing. They get their reward because they do good deeds. Disbelievers do good deeds. Allah ta'ala gives them their reward in this life. So when the kafir calls upon Allah, Allah tells Jibreel, yeah, Jibreel, just get rid of him basically. Make it happen for him because I want to hear his voice again. SubhanAllah. But on the other hand, and this is where, subhanAllah, we have to learn to be patient. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم وإذا دعا العبد المؤمن فالله تعالى جعلنا ويكون من المؤمنين قال يا جبريل احبس حاجته فإني أحب أن أسمع دعاءه. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. He said, yeah, exactly. He said, when the believer calls upon Allah, he said, Allah Ta'ala says, Ya Jibreel, just put his affair, the things that he's asking for, put it on hold, because I like to hear his supplication over and over. So subhanAllah, this is my advice for myself and for my brothers. Whenever you make dua to Allah about something that does not take place, know for a fact that Allah Ta'ala wants to hear your supplication over and over. So keep doing it over and over and over. فضالة ابن عبيد رضي الله عنه قال لقد علم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أمته كيف تدعو فقال صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم إذا صلى أحدكم فليبدأ بتحميد الله تعالى والثناء عليه ثم ليصلي على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم ليدعو بما شاء. SubhanAllah. Prophet ﷺ said, the Sahabi Fudala ibn Ubayd, he said that the Prophet ﷺ taught his ummah how to make dua properly. He said, one of the many ahadith that teaches how to make dua, if one of them makes salah, and then it's time for him to, after the dhikr, everything is done, it's time for you to make dua. He said, let him say Alhamdulillah as many times as possible. وَالثَّنَاءِ عَلَيْهِ, glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, Ya Ajwad al-Ajwadeen. He called upon him with his names and attributes. وَلْيُصَلِّ عَلَى النَّبِي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Then do the salah on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then you make supplication with that which you are asking for, and subhanAllah, Allah ta'ala will answer that supplication. وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دعا أحدكم فليؤمن على دعاء نفسه. If you make dua, just by yourself, then say Ameen. Say Ameen about your own dua. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال صلى الله عليه وسلم دعاء المرء المسلم مستجاب لأخيه بظهر الغيب. سبحان الله. عند رأسه ملك موكل بكل ما دعا لأخيه بخير. قال الملك ماذا قال الملك؟ ولك آمين آمين ولك مثل ذلك. سبحان Allah. Prophet said, the supplication of the believer, of the person, will always be accepted when he makes supplication to his brother and his brother is not there. When you're at home, you think about your brother and you say, oh Allah, give Abu Abdullah, make his children from the Salihin. You think about your brother in Islam that you see in the masjid that you love for the sake of Allah, and you make a dua for him. That dua will be accepted. And said, on top of your head, there's a malak. He's in charge of this particular thing. You making supplication to your brother in Islam. He will say Ameen. And the Ameen of the Malaika is a powerful thing, subhanAllah. It's something that will make your supplication be accepted, inshallah ta'ala. He says Ameen, and for you, the same. And for you, the same. However, and I will leave you with these things, inshallah, so not to make it too long for my brothers, inshallah ta'ala. There are things that prevent our supplication from being accepted. SubhanAllah. And this, in large, will be the subject of our talk next Wednesday, inshallah ta'ala, or Friday. If I don't, do something else on Friday, Allah knows best. But I'll leave you with this, inshallah ta'ala. حكي أن إبراهيم بن أدهم وإبراهيم بن أدهم كان عالما عابدا زاهدا معروف بزهده وعلمه. لا كان لما كانت الصوفية متابع للسنة قبل أن تغير إلى شيء آخر. مر بسوق البصرة فاجتمع عليه الناس وقالوا يا أبا إسحاق ما لنا ندعو فلا يستجاب لنا. Ibrahim Adham was a known scholar, and he was a very pious individual, a good worshipper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was in the marketplace in Al-Basra. The people came and gathered around him. And the fact that they gathered around him means that he doesn't go there very often. He spends most of his time in ibadah. They said, Ya Aba, O Abu Ishaq, that's his kunya. Why is it that we make supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but our supplication is not accepted? قال لأن قلوبكم ماتت بعشر أشياء. قلوبكم ماتت بعشر أشياء. He said, because your hearts are dead because of 10 things. 10 things that you do. قال الأول عرفتم الله ولم تؤدوا حقه. You know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know who Allah is, but you don't do him justice when it comes to his worship subhanahu wa ta'ala. الثاني زعمتم أنكم تحبون رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وتركتم سنته. You claim, number 2, he said you claim that you love the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, but you neglected his sunnah. Number 3, قال قرأتم القرآن فلم تعملوا به. You recite the Quran, but you don't implement it in your lives. Number 4, أكلتم نعم الله ولم تؤدوا شكرها. You ate the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you used them, but you did not give him thanks properly for them. Number 5, قلتم إن الشيطان عدو لكم ولم تخالفوه. You said and you claim that the shaitan is your enemy, but yet you follow his footsteps. Number 6, قلتم أن الجنة حق ولم تعملوا لها. You said and you claim that the Jannah, you believe that the Jannah is the truth, is true, but you did nothing to go to it. Number 7, قلتم أن النار حق ولم تهربوا منها. You said that the hellfire is the truth, but you did nothing to escape it. Number 8, قلتم أن الموت حق ولم تستعدوا له. You said that death is absolute truth and certainty, it's coming, but you did nothing to prepare yourselves for it. Number 9, انتبهتم من النوم فاشتغلتم بعيوب الناس ونسيتم عيوبكم. That you wake up in the morning and you get busy with the shortcomings of the others and you forget about your own shortcomings. Number 10, دفنتم موتاكم ولم تعتنوا بهم. You buried your dead, but you did not learn your lesson. You did not, by seeing people being put in the grave, you did not learn your lesson. So inshallah ta'ala, this will be our series talking about dua. Starting next lecture, inshallah ta'ala, we will go through these 10 things and we'll dissect them and we will see what we have to repair our shortcomings, inshallah ta'ala, in order that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with His mercy and generosity, will accept our dua. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from the ones that when they make supplication, their supplication is accepted. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from the ones that when they hear the speech, they follow the best of it. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والحمد لله رب العالمين وجزاكم الله خيرا. صلى الله تعالى صلى الله تعالى يسر. إن شاء الله. أنا في طريق العودة، طريق السفر الطويلة سأدعو لكم إن شاء الله.
دعاء الكافر يستجاب له في الدنيا صح؟ بس بدي يستبع.
هذا يعني جزاؤه على ما قدم في الدنيا يأخذه في الدنيا.
حتى بدي يعني لو كان يطلب عند المساكين بيتبرع بأموال.
Allah Azza wa Jal عادل. He's asking the Kafir's dua will be accepted. And his good deeds, are they accepted? Yeah, they are accepted in the dunya, and he gets his reward in the dunya. That's it. وَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. On the day of judgment he has nothing. When he comes to Allah Ta'ala with zero, because we don't say La ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu Muhammadan Rasulullah. Whatever good deeds that you do, they might serve you in this dunya, but you come with zero, you have zero. هذا المطلوب.
السؤال يقول انه الايه تقول الزاني لا ينكح الا زانيه او مشركه والزاني يسقط عنه لا ينكح ذلك. يقول لك واحد انه هو زاني وروح مثلا عند متجوز واحده ذكر يعني مش باجر مع عمر هاي السنه، فكيف انه هو الزاني لا